Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I just got back from St. Simons Island, Georgia. Went down there and hung out with some friends the last 2 days on the beach, and I was going to give you a little peek into, this is the beach down there in St. Simons. I'll play this for you. This is 9 seconds. And what's interesting here, for those of you that don't know, this is, of course, off the coast of Georgia. And the beach in this video, the beach is out there. And then you have this is like a little, this is the tide there kind of comes in and goes out while you're watching it during the day. It's a little different from Florida. If you go to the Gulf, where I grew up, going like Panama City Beach and those kind of places, when you're sitting on the beach, you're just sitting on the beach watching the ocean. You're not really watching the tide come in and out. Now at night, I guess when you go to bed, it comes in and out. But here, it's like you're watching it at St. Simons. You're like watching it as it happens throughout the day. It's a little different. Okay, while I was gone, there was I'll show you the most significant thing that happened while I was gone. But we had a pullback. That was one thing that happened. And then then the market came back up. We've got an XRP right now that's right at $1. We've got a $1.6 trillion market. I wanted to show you what some people are saying. Now, this was earlier in the day. Dark Defender was saying we've discussed a possible reversal to 75 to 80 cents. Yesterday, where XRP made it from 79 cents. Here you can find the daily chart below where it supports the reds and the greens. Let's see. If she breaks 90, then we continue on wave 3. And then it says, this was later in the day, remind you, Elliott wave 3 can move to Fibonacci zones $1.68, $1.33, $1.73, $2.14. The reversals are observed generally from these points. Today I made it conservative, but these 3 targets are all possible for wave 3 in the short term. So then later on in the day you get this one. Hope you're all well. XRP is following the third wave. Watch out for $1.06, mid resistance, supports. And then he says the support resistance did not change. Here's an updated. So anyway, what he's basically showing is that we could be targeting up here over $2. That would be pretty cool. Then the Joker, who I've shown for a long time on this channel, he said XRP retested a heavy resistance at support, got confirmation it is oversold. All-time high is $3. And has not yet been retested since January of 2018. XRP starts its bull market above $3. I love that because I think he's right. I don't think we've even begun to see a bull market with XRP or XLM, and he's really bullish on XLM as well. I think he maybe even more than XRP. But XRP the bull market starts above $3, and I think I think you get any kind of a resolution of this case, and you're going to see it quick. And you might see things that haven't been seen. I think you're sure to see things that haven't been seen, in my opinion. Now, this is what happened while I was gone. I was reading, and I was on Twitter and stuff down in St. Simons. Jeremy Hogan's retweeting this. This guy, James Phelan, is the one that broke it. Breaking: Judge Netburn denies SEC's access to Ripple's legal memorandum, dealing huge blow to the SEC. And Jeremy Hogan weighs in: Judge denies the SEC's motion to compel production of Ripple's lawyer opinion letters. Very important because the judge states Ripple's subjective beliefs regarding XRP are not relevant to the fair notice defense, blocking the road the SEC wanted to use to fight the defense. In other words, or defense. But in other words, bottom line is this, folks. SEC waited 8 freaking years and didn't do anything. And they actually worked hand in hand with Ripple during that time. Ripple was begging them for regulatory clarity. This reeks of an ambush by the SEC, a politically motivated ambush. And so this fair notice defense is basically, in layman's terms, my understanding is that, hey, you didn't let us know, you worked with us, you didn't let us know that you thought XRP was a security, and then you hit us with this as Jay Clayton walks out the door. You didn't give us fair notice. And so what they wanted to do, what the SEC wanted to do, was be able to get their hands on attorney-client privileged information between Ripple and their lawyers about a lawyer advising them, well, this could be a security or this kind of thing, which is ridiculous. Just the thought that they could try to go through someone's attorney-client privilege to win their lawsuit is crazy to me anyway. But anyway, okay, so basically the judge denied it, and so now the SEC is in a rock and a hard place the way I see it. And Stuart Alderati tweeted this out after that came out. Just finished rereading Melville's Moby Dick, the story about Captain Ahab's blind and irrational obsession with hunting the white whale. Spoiler alert, it doesn't end well for Captain Ahab. How about them apples? And I retweeted that with the article that was written at Forbes a while back. In the Ripple case, the SEC is now on trial. And I said, reminder that Captain Ahab is on trial. Gensler could have stopped this yesterday, but he did not, folks. Gary Gensler may as well be Jay Clayton as far as I'm concerned, because he didn't stop this. Now, speaking of Gary Gensler, this is Gary Gensler when he was at MIT. I've told you from day one of this lawsuit that it's all about the escrow. Here I said the escrow is everything, and I want you, this is Gary Gensler talking when he was an MIT professor. And don't forget, as you watch this, he was at Goldman Sachs for 18 freaking years, folks. 18 freaking years. This guy is a product of the system. He's the turnstile between the SEC, the Federal Reserve, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, and all of them. It's an unholy alliance between all of these different areas of government / Wall Street, and everybody knows it, and this guy's part of it. He could have dropped this case yesterday, but he did not. He took the torch. I don't care what you got to go through a process. BS. This guy could, if he thought it was wrong, he could have come in and said it was wrong that Jay Clayton dropping this case and then walking out the door. He did not. It's his case. It's Jay Clayton and his case, as far as I'm concerned. Now, watch this.
The blockchain and money final project teams, And by the way, just replacing one central monopolist with another central monopolist, a lot of commercial banks aren't terribly excited about that. Maybe you're going to have to give some ownership. Maybe you'll have to give 50% of your ownership to the 20 banks that are now, part of this. I mean, there are other ways to build incentive systems. Maybe you put a native token in there.
Pre-allocation.
And you give them the native token. So there may be other incentive ways to beat the current monopolist. But I, having been around commercial banks for a long time, they really are looking for ways
to continue their monopoly.
To replace their aggregators in their back office, whether it's clearing, settlement, exchanges, credit agencies, but they are deeply understanding, because they are pretty ambitious and very good at making money as well. They deeply understand that every idea that's pitched to them is somebody who currently is small but wants to get big and gain market power. So they're also always thinking about how to ensure that there's a check to slow down your startup from gaining market power 5, 10, and 15 years from now. They don't want you to be the next clearinghouse like the Chicago Mercantile Exchange or Intercontinental Exchange. They don't want you to be the next central node of market power. So you might share some of that with them, or you might find an incentive system.
Or you might pre-allocate your XRP via your escrow. I'm telling you, from day one on this channel, we've been talking about this. And look, anybody out there who is naive enough to believe that you're going to change the entire world's financial system and you're not going to pay tolls along the way to the powers that be, then you need to think again. I've always felt like this XRP, whether it's through an SEC lawsuit and a settlement, or whether it's done in some kind in boardrooms where it's all divvied up, I've always felt like one way or another it was going to be divvied up, either by force or by agreement or something. Okay, because that's the way. When my family was in the home building and development business, if you wanted to get a development done, if you think you're not going to go through a bunch of bureaucrat city council people who in one way or another not want payoffs, that's not what I'm saying, but want to have tolls in one way or another, that's the way it works. They can call it whatever they want to call it, but that's how business works. Is you have to pay the fiddler on the way up. You want to make $1 million, you're going to pay somebody along the way to help you make that $1 million. It's just the way it works. And these governments have put in place their bureaucrats and the bureaucrat or the politicians are paid by all of these people all along the way, and everybody's sticking their hand out. And if you think you're going to change the entire world's banking system without some of this type of stuff going on, then forget it. Wouldn't happen. Would not happen. Remember, the whole idea here is to replace SWIFT. What is SWIFT? SWIFT is owned by the bankers. It's owned by the banks. You're not going to replace SWIFT unless the bankers are getting theirs. And that's why I'll say it again about the SEC lawsuit. This SEC lawsuit is one of two things. It is not about protecting investors. It has nothing to do with you and me. They could give a rat's behind about you and me and protecting us. That's not what this is about. This is about Goldman Sachs and the boys. And I don't mean Goldman Sachs that it's them, that bank by itself. I mean just the bankers in general. This is about everybody getting theirs. This lawsuit is one thing or another. It's either Ripple being held over a barrel by the people that want them to pay the toll, hence escrow or some of the escrow, or all the world's a stage. Either one, you pick. It's one of those two. It's not the one in the middle. That's not about you and I and protecting us. I can promise you that. Hey, Seiko Carmona sent me this, and I retweeted this. This is from GateHub. Apparently, Hugo Filion, who's from Flare Networks, went to visit them, and I said June 1st is tomorrow. June, this is the month that I believe, from what I've read, that we are supposed to get the first Flare drop. Flare Network is supposed to go live here in June. So I said June 1st is tomorrow. All eyes on the Flare Networks. All right, and then this little reminder. One thing that caught my attention about Flare from the very beginning is how fast all of the different exchanges stood to attention. And when it included Coinbase, when Coinbase hopped to really quick and said, oh yeah, we're going to support Flare, that's when I knew something was serious about this. That's when it got my attention. And yes, Coinbase is participating in the Flare drop. So this person, XRP King Doggo the fourth plus $1,500. Flare is not live yet, and it's listed on 50 plus exchanges already. That shows you how big Flare will be. I agree. Now, then there was this from Zero Hedge. G7 financial leaders to say central bank digital currencies could act as liquid, safe settlement asset and anchor for payment system. Draft communique. Isn't that regular currency, what regular currencies used to do? Is the G7 preparing for the end of fiat? And you know what popped in my head when I read this tweet? First thing that popped in my head is, well, they're saying here G7 financial leaders say central bank digital currency. So we know that Ripple is working on private ledgers for central banks, and they're working with over 50 central banks, right? And it also reminded me of this part right here when he says, could act as liquid, safe settlement asset and anchor for payment system. It reminded me of this tweet from David Schwartz, the CTO of Ripple, from back January 9th, 2020. Always check a navigation chart carefully before dropping anchor. I don't know why it reminded me of that tweet. Now, finally, I wonder, this was a friendly reminder too. This is real XRP, boy, and I want you to hear this. Many of you may not have ever heard this. When I was at Swell in Singapore, 2019, they asked for questions. Now, this guy is Raghuram Rajan. I think I'm saying his name right. Dr. Raghuram Rajan, okay? This guy, as I remember, was he was the Federal Reserve chairman for India, used to be. So here's the important thing when you watch this. This is Brad Combs standing up and asking him a question, basically asking him if XRP could be a world reserve currency. and he doesn't get laughed out of the room. It was one of the most surreal moments that I have had on my journey in this whole space. Many of you have never seen this. Watch this exchange.
You could talk about the idea of the old concept of the banker coin and a neutral asset being in place of a global reserve status of the dollar, and possibly that being XRP.
How does Brad Combs not get laughed out of the fact that Brad Combs does not get laughed out of the room by this guy on that question tells me everything.
You know, what you're asking for is whether there's a possibility of a global currency. And to some extent, that's what Libra was trying to do. And as I understand it, that's different from what XRP is trying to do. And the reason is as follows.
Why is
as
he so
soon as
familiar
you
with
go
it?
to maintaining the value, right, some kind of stable coin, a whole set of regulatory concerns get triggered. I have to make sure that there is corresponding financial or real assets backing this notional value that they seek to maintain. That looks a lot more like a bank, right? Because you're promising some claims which are fixed, and that requires regulation for reasons I just talked about. Now, once you get an army of regulators, every central bank looking at it, then the question is, have you added a whole set of transaction costs to this, and is it worth, is it that useful? As I understand it, what is attempted with XRP is not so much maintaining the value, but offering a vehicle for exchange, which is quite different, because there you can have value fluctuating. All you need is value to be stable for 10 seconds while the whole transaction takes place. And as a result, there's a whole different need for regulation. You don't need to regulate value. I don't care. So long as there is some value, the transaction can certainly take place. And as a regulator, I'm not so worried about either this displacing my fiat currency, because you're moving from one fiat currency to another. It's just an interim value. And it's a means of exchange, but it's neither a store of value nor a unit account, et cetera, et cetera.
Fascinating answer right there. Finally, I wanted to show you this. This guy, I don't know where this is, but this is interesting. Listen to what this. And by the way, I showed you the other day, there were people protesting in front of the SEC with XRP signs. Listen to what this guy says.
Sure enough, they did get an interview for me. They happened to see him again. They were in this part of the city. And so here's what he had to say.
What the governments are doing right now, all the governments of the world, they've locked us down to slow down money velocity. With that, they can print money, give the bulk of it to the rich, give the poor a tiny minority of that money. And what the rich are doing with the money is they're buying land, they're buying companies, and when this economy completely collapses, they're going to switch from dollars to central bank digital currencies. All those central bank digital currencies are going to be exchanging money internationally on XRP. XRP will be the reserve currency of the future. XRP! If you're poor right now and you buy XRP, you will be part of the greatest wealth transfer in the world. You're going to have the same power that the central banks of the world are going to have.
Interesting clip, don't you think? I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe. Hit the like button. Tell your friends and family that I bought some XRP. Thanks for listening.